Let's get ready to rumble. I've always wanted to say that. Welcome to ATI ProMedia. My name's Tommy Grisafi. I'm excited today. I'm coming to you live from my basement in Valparaiso, Indiana. We're doing this every day at 9. We'll have a guest host today, Mr. Connor B. He's coming from flooded Assumption, Illinois. He's got a lot to talk about that. Rain makes grain, apparently. I'll tell you, we have all types of news. Interest rates are creeping back up. Watch that 10-year and 30-year. The Fed and the powers to be said we're going to have 7 rate cuts. We may go throughout the whole year and maybe have 1 or 2 rate cuts. We may go goose egg. Don't watch what they say, watch what they do. And we have not cut rates yet. We have not cut rates yet. We got problems down in Texas. We had some news out of there with the flock. Tough stuff to talk about when it comes to bird flu. I was on Scott the Cow Guy yesterday talking about bird flu. I can send you all a clip of that. Serious stuff going on. As I look over at the cattle board here, live cattle getting ready to getting close towards yesterday's lows. We'll break down the charts. Live cattle down 180. Looking at feeders, tough day on that board. I have to adjust my feeder board real quick here and get you some prices here. Tough over there, down 240 in feeders. Deep corn's up a little, soybeans are down, wheat's up. These grain markets, you know what corn did, folks? Remember that bullish crop report we had last Thursday? It was bullish. How'd all these analysts get it wrong? We had too much, they said we had too much grain. That's not true. Us farmers showed them we're not going to plant the grain. You still have too much grain. The world has too much grain, and I promise you, you are going to plant a lot of corn, wheat, and beans given the chance if Mother Nature cooperates. With that, I probably forgot a headline or two. There's a lot of stuff going on. Sometimes in the morning when we build these shows, looks like there's nothing happening, and then the day starts to develop. I could tell you what the story is right now. Today, it's all eyes on this meat complex. We might even look at a milk chart. Let's bring him into the show, Connor B.
Good morning, Tommy. Tommy, we got to get you one of those mics that drop down, so then you're really ready to rumble.
Let's do it. Yeah. Well, I'm pumped up here. We're 2 coffees into it. And you know what? It is wonderful. It is so nice to come into folks' homes on your laptop, on your iPhone, on your iPad. I don't know who the heck watches this show, but if you're watching and you want to ever call us, give us a call, 1-855-737-FARM. Email us at info@ATI ProMedia. I promise you, I will answer the phone. We had someone call the other night at 6:30, and they're like, "You really answered?" I go, "Yep, phone's right next to me in the living room." And I will answer. Gina will answer. Joe will answer. Midnight, that gets a little stretch, But tell me about today's show. You're the one who built it. What are we going to talk about?
Absolutely. First thing, let's look at the markets, Tommy. We've got corn rallying a little bit, different story from the past couple days, and we'll show that when we pull up some charts. But we've got corn up a penny and a half. Soybeans bouncing around down 2. They were positive not too long ago. November soybeans are unchanged. We'll watch that. And then the past couple days, I don't know what it's like in Valparaiso, Indiana, but we have got a lot of precipitation, right? Yesterday, you and Brady talked about how we are 2% planted. I don't think that number is going to change too dramatically next week because nothing's going to get done in central Illinois, in most of the Midwest. We'll talk. I got a few charts to look at weather, but we are wet. We're in that 3.5. Parts of central Illinois, 4 inches of rain, Tommy. Unbelievable precipitation. And you look out the forecast, it's still coming.
Now, I don't know, if your mom and dad read you books as a kid, but I was told April showers bring May flowers. Isn't this just April showers?
I think so, yeah.
Do you read your kids' books at night? Read them every book you can.
Oh, do I read them books at night?
Read
Oh
your
my
kids'
gosh.
books. Do you?
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
let's give a
I try and keep it at 3 books, and then they push me to 5 or 6. So
I love it. Yeah, that's awesome. One day they're not even you're gonna go to McDonald's and they're gonna sit at one table and you'll be sitting at the other table and you'll be like, yeah, those are my kids. They're embarrassed, their mom and dad. Speaking of mom, she has a pretty neat channel that I like following. Give your wife a little plug with what she's doing with gardening. And so if you do start talking about plants and gardening and stuff, you're not making this up because apparently you're a weekend warrior when it comes to green thumbing down there in Assumption, Illinois.
well, it's definitely more her department, but yeah, she's always been passionate about gardening. Small town garden life is what she does on Instagram. She's always putting stuff, always thinking about what to plant, what to start. She's always got big ideas. So if you're interested in that, check it out.
It's
Definitely.
good stuff. It's good content. She's fun to watch and stuff.
I'll
All right,
tell her to watch.
well, someone's got to watch. All right, tell us about this rain because the eastern Iowa, the whole state of Iowa needs rain. We're getting there, right? We're getting little rains in eastern Iowa. You
Yeah,
want that?
let's the charts. So Northeast Iowa, they got rain. I really wish they were in that part of red, but Tommy, look at Illinois, or Indiana, Ohio, right? We have got a ton of rain in the past 3 days, and most of the Midwest, right? Missouri, right? Part of that was in some drought. Not as bad. Northeast Iowa is the last spot where we see that red on the drought monitor, and so they've got rain. Wish they had a little bit more, but all of Iowa, good precipitation ahead of planting. So keep moving forward. And here's the other thing I should mention, Tommy, is right now the U.S. drought, our drought area is the smallest since 2020, right? Across the United States. A big part of that, I will say, big part of that is California finally caught rains, right? Big part of California was in a drought for a long time. But overall, the United States, this is the lowest drought area we've seen since 2020. So go ahead.
What have I been saying? We got to pretend we're going to have a record crop this year. It's going to do you no good, folks, to pretend that you stink at farming. We have to do more than pretend. We have to assume we're going to have a record crop. D's corn 468, right at that crop insurance level. Boy, there are a lot of people who probably feel silly about getting out of positions, changing position. Oh, this is it. I finally told you. There's you and Brady did a great video yesterday about corn and cattle, and we talk often at Advanced Trading corporately and on ATI Pro Media about getting out of position, whether it be a grain elevator was out of position or a farmer's out of position. In this case, out of position would look like that you're holding way too much old crop. You have very little sold new crop. You can't even imagine how tough 25 could be because you're out of position. So what we did a great job, I feel, myself and my team did a great job, and that includes you, of getting people prepared before this crop report, layering in short dated options with that crop insurance. It's not perfect, but it is a plan and it does stop the downside and keep the upside open. I'll tell you another thing too, because I'm in a mood today. Go full screen on me, Joe. We're going to make a short out of this. All right. Here's the deal, folks. If we go ultra bear market, your person who you pay to tell you where to sell, they're going to have you sold on 0% of this year's crop. I promise you, if you're paying someone to give you great cash advice and we go in the killer bear markets of bear markets, you will be 0% sold and you will have paid someone to do that. All right, back to the show. What do you
Yeah.
think of that?
And yes, great points. And we were big proponents getting protected before that report. But also, right, report was a big deal, came out bullish, didn't seem to matter too much today. But the other thing is hopefully, right, this rain will dry up. Crop's going to go in the ground in the next two weeks to a month, what have you. And that's when the emotion sets in, right? So we're getting positions on before that sets in so we can make the right decisions in the next few months. So,
I can give you a bullish scenario. It keeps raining. It keeps
hit me.
raining. We slop in this crop. This crop gets shallow roots. It gets hot and dry. Big wind comes over in July and blows it all over. That could happen because what's ironic about last year is how dry it was in the spring and how we had that AKA flash drought. That was real. I've lived in traveling states that was happening. And the amount of bushels we were able to produce on abnormally dry weather. So could the scenario be that our yields will be reduced because we just had too wet of a spring? And as you know, every bag of corn seed has that potential for 400 bushel yield. It just gets worse from the time you open the bag. At least that's what the seed companies tell me. And they pay me a lot of money to sit up here. So yes, sir.
I was going to say to those points, and I think Joe's got the ticker going at the bottom, right? Past performance is not indicative of future results, or however you say that. But last time we had a really wet spring, right? 2019, right? If we look at the fund position in 2019, that's the last time we were that short. So if you want to put that bullish scenario in your head, right? Look at that. We're setting up the same thing. Long way from being that delayed in planning, though. So I shouldn't have even said that, Tommy.
No, but I have some friends in the industry and at different seed companies, and they're getting just like when all the fine wines used to come from France, right? And then 40 years ago, we started producing nice wines in California. Well, after 40, 50, 60 years of producing nice wines in California, they no longer laugh at California wines. Bringing that into corn, is that we're going on some of these hybrid companies. They are celebrating their 85th anniversary this year from when universities like Purdue said, "Hey, go out and take this plant, make a hybrid." The data that these companies have is absolutely amazing. I'm friends with some of the owners of these companies, and historically, even on wet years, that the farmer would be so frustrated to get it in, they tend to get the bushels if the moisture is there. So I'm not an agronomist, but guess what? We have 4 new agronomists coming on ATI Pro Media Premium over the next month, and we're going to start introducing those day after day after day, saying, "Hey, this guy was on, this girl was on, this person was on." We're not agronomists, but we're willing to partner with people who are, so we can bring you better information. But you're going to have to pay for it, Connor. We're not going to give everything away for free like we do this morning.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Can
Speaking,
I tell you
let's look.
something that's not free? Sorry to
Go for it.
interrupt.
Go.
Time Microsoft, I want to raise my hand. Crude oil is not free. $85 crude oil. What do
Ex-
you think about that?
It's exactly what I was going to segue, Tommy. We're on the same page. Crude over $85, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Tommy. A lot of this bullish crude, it's Russia fueled. Is that correct? Right? We're looking at what they're doing. But can you let's drive this back. Talk crude, but bullish crude, right? Crude corn, little bit correlated. What can we see?
Well, we got to go back and even mention one more. Gold, new all-time highs yesterday.
Gold.
Gold up another $20 today. One of the yellow commodities did horrible yesterday. One of the yellow commodities did really well. I did see a headline come out that the Biden administration had passed on buying crude oil at this level because it was too expensive to refill the strategic oil reserve. Looks like they are out of position, our own government on our own strategic oil reserve. There was some news out of Mexico with energies. And of course, we know the powers to be who control energy, they probably aren't watching ATI Pro Media, and they're not going to call us on the red phone and tell us what they're going to do before they do it. But there's a lot of people want energies to be higher because they're in the energy business. And there's a lot of people, being every single consumer in the world, wants to consume affordable energy. We have that in natural gas right now, very affordable energy. We do not have that in crude oil. So crude oil is a dynamic market. We've lost track of it. It's trending from the bottom left to the top right.
Yeah, absolutely. Tommy, we got a lot of questions. I'm going to touch on weather, and I say we break those down and then call it a show.
All
So,
righty.
only thing on wet, right? Looking at future precipitation, as you can see, Illinois still above wet for the next 14 days. Rest of the Midwest, non-threatening, right? So we'll see. We'll keep monitoring that. Hopefully, we do get a spot where we can get the crop in the ground in the next couple weeks, but pretty non-threatening. Again, same thing going down to South America. I'm going to call the weather right now. I'm calling it non-threatening, Tommy. When I look at northern Brazil, Mato Grosso, right? Past precipitation, they've got enough. Sure, Argentina, southern Brazil, we could use a little bit more precipitation. Don't get me wrong, right? But most of the bushels are grown in that area that's got a lot of rain. And same thing, looking at the next 14 days, right? Argentina, a little hot, a little dry. They do grow corn down there, so we'll keep watching that. But most of Brazil, right, especially Mato Grosso, right? That's the big corn producing state. They're looking, they're going to get enough rain. I'm calling it non-threatening weather.
Absolutely. Um, we don't really have droughts, like big drought weather problems that often. I think a smarter person than us, like our associates who are on the show with weather, could say, "Oh, 1 in 7 years, South America has a real problem." There's one really important thing you need to watch and remember is that the grain belt is expanding. And I've never learned this so much as I've spent the last 10 years traveling back to North Dakota. And when I tell you there are a lot of farms in North Dakota that can grow 200 bushel corn, it should make you bearish, not bullish. The grain belt has expanded, going back to what we talked about 7, 10 minutes ago with the 85-year anniversary of these hybrids. The technology, anytime there's big money in ag, we've had 3 monster years in ag. When the money comes into ag, the amount spent on research goes up dramatically because they have the dollars to spend. As the market comes down, they may cut back a little bit on that budget. If you are bearish on corn, if you are bullish on corn, wheat, and beans because your genetics stink, you need to buy different seed. If you're bullish on corn, wheat, and beans because you bought a poor planter, you need to buy a new planter. If you have ground that's not as good, there's even things we can do with that. Shout out to Roger Ellingson and the boys up there with tile. Tile is by far one of the greatest things you can do. You just had 3, 4 inches of rain. I promise you, a farmer with a tiled field will be in there before one without
Right.
it.
If we're giving
Um,
shout outs to towel guys, I gotta give a shout out to Holt House buyers. You did that last time. I didn't say anything. I got a couple angry calls. So
oh yeah.
John, here's your shout out. Don't yell at me this time.
All right. Let's grab a few questions, Joe.
Yep, let's do it.
All righty then. Luke.
2 million birds at cow main facility in Texas to be composted after bird flu tests, and another poultry site in Michigan. How much of total feed demand ends up in the poultry ration? Luke, we had this as a pop up, so you are reading our mind. We're getting more
That's
in
not
sync
hard to
of where
do.
this go. The more we go, Luke, your questions are dead on with what we're going to talk about. But as far as total feed demand, Tommy, you know those numbers off the top of your head.
Yeah, sure. I just had those here. No, we're going to ask our research department. Some of those people actually have the name doctor in front of them, and we'll get those numbers on the show tomorrow. Great question. That needs to be addressed, and we'll talk about that. You could see that though in as we look cattle on the lows. I can add a little color to that. It's not bullish corn, correct?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is we can look at the numbers, look at the fundamental, but when we see headlines like this, when we see um, scary news that it's out there, it's more going to be what's the emotion of the trading, right? 2 days ago, cattle went limit down on the news, right? Did it need to go limit down that day, Tommy? Maybe not if we look at the fundamental, but it's going to be what's the emotion and what's the psychology that type of thing is really going to fuel this in the next couple weeks. So we'll definitely keep watching that. Great question, Luke. What else we got? CPI creep up. Will CPI creep up now that oil is up? Higher for long and same along same lines. Higher for longer rates seem more and more likely. I agree with you there, Brett. Tommy, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean CPI is energy is a major component in uh, those numbers. But of course, our government has the way of saying this that it's consumer price index minus fuel, energy, this, and this, and pretty much they just get out that it only covers rocks or something. You have to understand as these government numbers come out, what part they're covering. Real cost to people like us who go to the gas station, go to the grocery store, have utilities that have went up, or pay for any service. Real cost in the real world that I live in, uh, things have went incredibly expensive and they're not coming back down. Once you can get a consumer to tolerate a higher price, you don't seem to lower those. Let's keep an eye on egg prices. We're going to have to do some premium content sometimes just on the dairy sector. I know we
Yep.
Advanced Trading released a bunch of data about that. I am not a dairy expert. I'm not qualified to talk about dairy. Heck, as I've gotten older, I've become lactose intolerant. So definitely not the guy to have on to promote the dairy industry. And I know that doesn't make some of you happy. Tony Dunker, less coffee. Hey, Tony, they got to get fired up. We got 200 people watching today. They're coming from all over LinkedIn, X, YouTube. We love doing this. This is free. And speaking of what's not free, let's talk a little bit about ATI Pro Media Premium, what we're doing. I understand Handsome Alert yesterday. Joe, you could pop that up. Yesterday's ATI Pro Media Premium was Mr. Brady Huck and Connor B. Premium Content, Cattle and Corn. You guys did a great job of tying those together. What'd you learn from doing that premium podcast yesterday?
Yeah, it was most of the thing we talked a little corn at the end, but it was really about cattle, right? We've got some very scary news, a lot of uncertainty, right? Brady Huck says it multiple times. We don't know what we don't know, right? And so, how do we position ourselves for that uncertainty? So Brady Huck gave a lot of different tie-ins, right? Are we going to go LRP? Are we looking more traditional hedging strategies? Which one's going to work? For your operation, and then a little bit corn, right? We saw that negative past couple days, and we had a bullish report Thursday, right? So sometimes a lot of times the market doesn't do what we think it's going to do and what we want it to do. So how do we hedge accordingly? So great. I always love doing stuff with Brady. It was a great conversation.
And who switched that show yesterday? Who was clicking the buttons?
Whoever could it be? I think it was it Tommy Grisafi?
Remember when Brady's
Right.
like, "What?" Yeah, Brady got the looks, his dad got the brains. Remember that was a pop up. So if you subscribe, you'll see that in there. It was a doozy. Okay, speaking of doozies, I think we're going a doubleheader today. We have did a nice little clip yesterday with PJ from RJO, great partner in the show, a contributor. He's talking about what happened in the first few days of big option trade in cattle, Kansas City wheat, and some other things. We'll get that video out in the next few hours. Then we have another guest on this afternoon. Going to leave that surprise, but the word carbon may be brought up. So PJ this morning, advanced trading, ATI ProMedia. How do you subscribe? Great question. Go to www.atipromedia, hit the green button, subscribe, swipe your credit card, $30 a month. If you subscribe in the next few days, give Tommy G a call. We'll send you an American flag. We're sending out 12 American flags to our subscribers just from the last few days. So we love doing this. This show is free, but the premium content, some of these folks need to be paid for primo content. They don't just work for free like you and I do, Connor B. Tell us real quick before we end the show, what's the weather forecast looking moving forward? Do we have a problem, or is it just fun to talk about, in your opinion?
No, what United States, South America, there is no problem yet. We are getting the precipitation. We're still early planting, especially in Central Illinois, probably isn't going to happen, but that window is still open to be get the crop in the ground in plenty of time, right? We got the high-speed planters now. We can really get after it. So right now, I'm going on record saying the weather is a non-factor as of right now. I have the right to change my opinion in a couple weeks, though, Tommy.
I love it. Well, let's get our tractor started and get ready to plant a crop, my friend. Hold on, watch this. They're going to rev it up. They're going to rev up the tractor. It's getting ready to go here. Very good. I'm revved up. Let's go. Phone lines are open. 1-855-737-FARM. Get revved up. I will see you tomorrow.
See ya.
Thanks for joining us. We're here every day, 9 a.m. Central. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.